There are 7 distinct types of people who struggle with weight, but most never discover which one they truly are. They blame their body, their metabolism, their cravings, but the real problem isn't physical at all. It's hidden deep in their patterns, identity, and psychology. And today, you're going to uncover exactly which type you belong to and why every diet or workout routine you've tried has failed to create lasting change. Think about that person you've seen who seems to lose weight effortlessly, who eats clean without drama, who exercises without excuses, who moves through life with a discipline that feels almost unnatural. While most people quit by week 3, they just don't. And do you know what people whisper about them? That's not normal. But the truth is, there's a powerful reason behind their success, one most people never learn. And once you understand it, everything about your weight journey will transform. If you never identify your weight struggle type, you will stay trapped inside a cycle so familiar it almost feels normal. A burst of motivation, a strict plan, a few days of effort, then stress, cravings, exhaustion, guilt, and finally the quiet promise that next week you'll start again. This cycle doesn't just drain your energy, it shapes your identity, convincing you that change is impossible. But understanding your type changes everything. Because weight loss isn't determined by willpower. It's determined by patterns, emotions, hormones, and environment. Without this awareness, every attempt will collapse the moment life becomes inconvenient. But once you know your type, you gain clarity, strategy, and power. You stop fighting random battles and start fighting the right ones. And that's when the shift happens. Weight loss stops feeling like a war and starts feeling like alignment. Like your body is finally cooperating instead of resisting. Type 1, the emotional eater. The first type is the emotional eater, the person who reaches for food not out of hunger, but out of emotional overflow. They don't eat to satisfy the stomach, they eat to quiet the mind. Stress, sadness, loneliness, boredom, anxiety, every uncomfortable feeling becomes a trigger that sends them straight towards sugar, snacks, or comfort foods. What makes this type struggle the most is that the craving isn't for flavor, it's for relief. The cycle is painfully predictable. A wave of emotion hits, food provides a few minutes of escape, and then guilt takes over, reinforcing the same emotional loop. They try diets, restrictions, or strict meal plans, but nothing sticks because they're treating physical hunger while ignoring emotional hunger. Until they learn to regulate their feelings without using food as a sedative, their weight will keep rising and falling like a tide they can't control, no matter how hard they try. Type 2, the all or nothing achiever. The second type is the all or nothing achiever, the person who begins every health journey with explosive motivation. When they start, they go all in. Strict diet, intense workouts, perfect discipline, no mistakes allowed. For the first few days, they feel unstoppable. But this perfection-driven momentum is fragile because it has one fatal flaw. The moment they slip, everything collapses. One cookie becomes failure. One missed workout becomes defeat. One late-night snack becomes a full reset. Their identity is built on flawless execution, so the tiniest imperfection shatters their confidence. They believe progress only counts when it is perfect. But perfection is incompatible with real life. The truth they must face is this: progress survives flexibility, not intensity. Until they learn to embrace imperfect days, adjust without guilt, and treat setbacks as part of the path, not the end of it, they will forever restart on Monday, exhausted and disappointed. Type 3, the busy but stuck person. The third type is the busy but stuck person. Someone who is constantly in motion, constantly overwhelmed, constantly doing something, yet never moving forward with their health. They convince themselves there's simply no time for clean eating, exercise, meal prep, or consistency. Their schedule becomes the excuse that shields them from the responsibility of change. But their real problem isn't time, it's priority distortion. They can manage endless tasks for work, family, or others, yet their own health is treated like an optional extra. They don't realize that the more chaotic life becomes, the more essential a non-negotiable health routine is. Without it, stress compounds, energy drains, cravings intensify, and weight quietly increases. This type must learn a powerful truth. Time doesn't appear, you create it. And until they treat health as a foundation, rather than an inconvenience, they will continue spinning in place, exhausted but unchanged. Type 4, the nutrition-confused person. The fourth type is the nutrition-confused person, the one who has tried more diets than they can even remember. Keto, fasting, low-carb, detox cleanses, vegan weeks, juice resets. They've tested everything, yet nothing stays consistent. Their struggle isn't lack of effort, it's the overwhelming amount of contradictory information they've absorbed over the years. Every fitness influencer, every article, every new trend pulls them in a different direction, creating a cycle of constant starting over. They fear choosing the wrong approach, so they keep switching, tweaking, or restarting before any method has time to work. Their mind is full, but their understanding is empty. What they desperately need isn't another diet, it's clarity, a simple, grounded framework they can trust. Until they learn to silence the noise, commit to one balanced strategy, and let consistency work its magic, they'll remain stuck in a loop of confusion, frustration, and stagnation. Type 5, the comfort seeker. The fifth type is the comfort seeker, the person who values ease, pleasure, and immediate relief far more than long-term change. For them, anything uncomfortable feels wrong. Sweating feels unpleasant, hunger feels unbearable, exercise feels like punishment, and structure feels restrictive. They're not lazy. They're wired to avoid discomfort at all costs. Their nervous system treats challenge as danger, so the moment a workout becomes hard or a craving hits, their instinct is to retreat to what feels safe: food, rest, avoidance, or distraction. But the truth is, discomfort isn't the enemy, it's the doorway. Every transformation in the human body begins with controlled discomfort. Pressure on muscles, discipline around food, temporary hunger signals, and moments of fatigue. Until the comfort seeker redefines discomfort as growth rather than suffering, they will always slip back into the softer path. And the softer path always leads to the same place, staying exactly where they are. Type 6, the social environment prisoner. The sixth type is the social environment prisoner, the person whose weight struggles are not shaped by hunger or weakness, but by the world they live in. Their environment constantly pulls them back into old habits. A family that eats late at night, friends who celebrate everything with food, co-workers who bring snacks to the office, or a partner who doesn't share their goals. They are surrounded by temptations that feel harmless, but accumulate into patterns that quietly sabotage their progress. This type isn't failing because they lack discipline. They're failing because their surroundings overpower their intentions. Humans adapt to the behaviors of the people closest to them, and this person's circle has normalized unhealthy habits. To escape, they must redesign their environment, creating physical and social spaces that make progress easier than staying stuck. Until they do, their willpower will always lose against the gravity of their surroundings. Type 7, the identity trap person. The seventh type is the identity trap person, the individual whose weight struggle is rooted not in food, hormones, or lifestyle, but in the quiet beliefs they've carried for years. This person has unknowingly labeled themselves with identities like, I've always been overweight, it runs in my family, my body just doesn't lose weight, or I'm not built like those fit people. These statements become psychological chains, binding them to an outdated version of themselves. When identity becomes the cage, no diet can unlock the door. Every effort they make is filtered through the belief that change is temporary, difficult, or impossible. Their body tries, but their identity blocks the progress. To transform, this type must rewrite the story they tell themselves about who they are. Only when the identity shifts from someone who struggles to someone who evolves does their body finally follow. Identity is the heaviest weight they must learn to drop. Here is the truth most people never discover. You do not struggle with weight because you are weak. You struggle because you've been fighting the wrong enemy. Weight loss has never been a battle of motivation. It's a battle of identity, environment, emotions, patterns, and pre-decided routines. Once these pieces shift into alignment, something incredible happens. Progress stops feeling forced and begins to feel natural. Your eating choices become automatic. Your movements become instinctive. Your discipline becomes effortless. People around you start to notice. They'll say things like, "You're becoming obsessive," or "You're taking this too seriously," or "You're not the same anymore." That's when you know the transformation is happening. Because when your growth makes others uncomfortable, you're finally doing something right. Normal people get normal results, but exceptional results require becoming an exceptional version of yourself. One who no longer tries to change, but simply lives differently. Now comes the moment that decides everything. Which of the 7 types are you? Because the truth is, awareness alone changes nothing. Only action does. This is the point where you stop viewing your struggle as a flaw and start seeing it as a pattern that can be rewritten. Your challenge is simple but profound. Identify your type, claim it openly, and commit to transforming it. Declare it in the comments below, because a public declaration begins the identity shift your brain needs. Say, "My type is hain, and I'm ready to change." Once you do this, the journey stops being theoretical and becomes personal. Remember, the only weight you must lose first is the weight of who you used to be. Your body will follow your identity, your habits, and your decisions. If you're ready to break the cycle, subscribe, activate the bell, and step into the version of yourself you've always wanted to meet.